Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Hey, listen, man. Claressa Shields, in my opinion, she put herself in a bad light. She was drunk and took it to the stupid. And you know, man, I think we just got to come out here and just kind of hold down them sadistic ways she had, because to see somebody out here so happy to see a person get hurt and lose, it's frightening. Now, she did come out here because so much backlash as a result of her making fun of Shadasia Green losing, going live. And she seemed to be intoxicated. She did have a bottle. And she had a whole lot to say. And I'm not replaying any of that. A lot of y'all have heard it already. She said a whole lot. Very disrespectful to so many people. Now, the thing is, right, she's come out here and she called herself trying to apologize. Which, of course, she's damned if she do, damned if she doesn't. But she created that situation. Nobody else did. Now, she issues this apology right here to, well, actually, it's like words of encouragement. But this is, to me, is a roundabout way of her trying to kind of apologize. And look at what she writes now. Boxing beef to the side real quick. That right there is the wrong way to lead into talking about some prayers up for Shadasia Green. She's just on here typing away, saying whatever she wants. And to be honest with you, man, she should have a PR person doing these things for her. All right? Because what she put on here, to me, it hurt her more. And to be honest, I didn't think she could hurt herself any more than she's already done. But I read through this and I was just like, well, the internet's going to have a field day with this. Prayers up for Shadasia Green. This sport ain't just entertainment for y'all. Okay, this sport ain't just entertainment for y'all. I don't know what she means by that. This is our real life. We risk everything, every time we step in that ring. Respect to any fighter with the heart to do it. Stay strong, Green. And then she puts GOAT/Claressa Shields. Well, I don't understand the hashtag thing. You know, I don't be on the internet like that. I'm from the old school. But I would think you would put hashtag Green or something positive about Green, not hashtag yourself. I don't. So y'all got to help me understand that one. But this is where it gets even more interesting, right? This individual says, glad you said something positive. Shadasia's life was on the line. The story could have went another way. I knew something was wrong when she was in that ring. I'm in healthcare and I notice when someone's health isn't right, and she should align, and she showed, I think that's what she meant to write, and she showed all signs of a brain bleed. And then Claressa says, everyone that boxes, life is on the line every fight, but y'all still mistreat and troll fighters. And I'm not going to agree with you with all you said. Can't take away from Lanai win like that. You see, this is why Claressa Shields needs to have a PR rep. She shouldn't type anything on here. Because somehow she has a tough time just saying something nice about somebody. Like, what the hell did Lanai have to do with any of this? You know what I'm saying? And this person comes out and he's like, you tweeted this after the report came out. As far as he said, you tweeted this after the report came out of what she got going on. I'm sorry, I have a tough time reading some of this shit, man. And this is Tim Bradley, where he was, having a good time making fun of Shadasia Green. Something about smoking on the good stuff and just making it seem like she didn't want it. She didn't want to be a champion. And, he misstepped. He misspoke. He made a mistake, him as a champion. And with him and his background as a pro fighter, highly respected, You know, to me, he fucked up. Because if I was able to recognize something ain't right here, you know, she collapsed on the stool. I've never been a pro boxer. But if I can look at that and say, okay, hold on a second, something's not right. You would think that these individuals would have recognized that and said, okay, that's not normal. But instead, everything is about jumping on the internet, creating a video and getting clicks. And she says, speak your truth, because she's basically agreeing with what he said. And this person here is like, you're selfish, this ain't about Lonnie or you. You were the one trolling her. And then this person right here says, as someone who used to box on both amateur and the pro level, I can see both sides, and I've had several head injuries myself. The main reason I don't troll is because I've been on both sides. Nothing wrong with popping your crap, but there's definitely a time and place. So this person is in a respectful way saying, hey, shut up. Now, this is what's interesting, right? Person goes, she was being carried out on a stretcher, and this is what you chose to say. And this is why I told you, man, with me, I just have no expectation for Claressa Shields. She's going to keep doing what she does. And I'm not even going to say good luck to her. I'm just going to say she's going to keep doing what she does. But this person, see, these are the fans these are the people on social media that be in her ass. So don't backtrack now. Stand on your comments that you actively made in real time. And this is what she said right here. And this is who y'all said was going to beat me. F out of here. Lanai just TKO Green. And she's laughing and having a good time. And this person says, you're actually an asshole. She was being taken out by an ambulance. So Claressa said this, knowing she was on a stretcher, being taken out on a stretcher by an ambulance, and she still did all this. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, when you come back up here to where she's like, boxing beef to the side real quick. Nah, it's no real quick. Because what happened with Shadasia Green, it's not going to be a real quick recovery. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to kind of jump into the conversation, because the boxing world is having some real conversations right now. And again, there are some people who support Claressa Shields. And hey, that's their right. But you see, this isn't just about a win or loss. It's about how fighters treat each other when things go wrong. When you look at the center of the conversation, and conversations, you know, it's all, Claressa Shields is always there in the middle. Always in the middle of something. So it's not just about that fight. It's about perception. It's about reaction. And what fans expect from elite athletes in moments that go beyond competition. But like I said, for right now, I believe most people, they have no expectation from Claressa Shields anymore. They just don't care. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you this, Claressa better hope she don't get sick. You know what I mean? She better hope she doesn't get sick. She better hope she doesn't get hurt. She better hope she doesn't get humiliated. She better hope that, you know, she just better cross her fingers, cross her eyes, cross her T's, cross the street, call the Red Cross, play hop cross buns. She better fucking pray that she can go on and continue to live a life to where, you know what I'm saying, nothing bad happens for her. Because she totally dropped the ball when it comes to Shadasia Green, and Shadasia Green losing to Lanai. Now, we talked about it already, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Claressa Shields could have hit a grand slam, but she took it to the stupid. She's coming off very sadistic, liking to see people suffer and getting joy out of that. She doesn't want to suffer. She doesn't want no one to see her suffer. She doesn't want to be made to feel a kind of way, but she wants to do it to everyone else. She's sadistic, so we gotta find a way to rinse that shit up out of boxing and up out of her, because she has that quality. Everything Everything popped off because of her reaction, man. You got a fighter that's losing, and you can see in the fight that there was a physical struggle taking place with Shadasia. We're all processing, trying to figure out, but no one at the time knew there was a bleeding on the brain. So no one knew. But what ended up happening is, you look at how others were responding in real time when it came to Shadasia, and what looks to be like she was losing momentum in the fight, and then, of course, coming out for that ninth round, fight was stopped and she sat on the stool, and we know what happened. But in boxing, reaction matters, because the sport is built on respect, built on risk, and the understanding that anything can happen in the ring. So when a fighter appears hurt or compromised, the tone shifts. And when everybody saw Green wincing and talking about her head, collapsing on the stool, and the stretcher came in the ring, you would have expected for that tone to shift, especially for the professional fighters. With fans, whatever, but even majority of the fans were like, whoa, hold on. But for a pro fighter, you 100% would expect that tone to shift once they recognize, one of our own is hurt. Because there aren't many people who know what it's like to get in the ring and fight like these professional fighters from combat sports across the world. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, not many people know what it's like. So more was expected. And fans, they expected that shift, but also fans expected that shift within themselves. And that's why this shit hit so hard, because fans weren't just reacting to a comment, right? They watched how it all played out, from Claressa to tweets and rushing to get in front of her computer. She couldn't wait to get in front of her computer. Turn on that camera or her phone or whatever it was, and with a big ass bottle of, I don't know what that was, Wild Turkey, Thunderbird, I don't know what it was. It looked like a wine. She said wine, so she was there on like a wino and shit, and couldn't wait to get on there and start talking shit. She was talking, and I'll tell you what, fans were like, yo, this is poor timing, lack of sensitivity, and boy, oh boy, a missed opportunity for empathy. And when emotions are already high, perception becomes everything. But this is the thing. It still didn't have that impact like it has right now. Because no one knew the severity of Shadasia Green's injuries. I would say most people, at least on the internet, Jake Paul, MVP, Nikisa, they knew, but those of us, we didn't know that when they took her out on that stretcher, Shadasia Green, that she was in and out of consciousness and blacked out. And they took her from that stretcher to the ambulance, straight to ICU, and she's been in there ever since. And she had the bleeding on the brain, a 9mm contusion and blood on the brain, right? But once that information broke yesterday, I'm telling you, now we're in a different space, because social media has got a hold of it. The clips, the narrative, everything's exploded. There are people who had not seen Claressa's live that she did. Whenever she goes live, people record the whole thing, so it's all over. And there are people who are watching it now, and it's just like, for them, it's like a double whammy. They saw what happened to Shadasia first and got the story yesterday first. Oh, Shadasia had bleeding on the brain. It's like, oh, that's horrible. And then they're like, what is this stuff they're talking about? What did Claressa say after the fight? Because some people didn't see it. Now they're going back watching that after learning Shadasia had bleeding on the brain. And, yo, man, them dudes is like up and away right now. The guys and the ladies. They're like, what kind of animal would do this? She's sadistic, inhumane. She's insensitive. You know what I'm saying? These are the words they're using to describe her. But that's what happens when every moment is you want to make a clip, you want to make a headline. Well, now you got people out here making clips and headlines about you and the way you behaved. When it came to someone who was your friend, where you guys have mended the relationship, and now they got the whole story. They're like, damn, she did this to her someone who she was cool with, then the relationship was fragmented, and they pieced it back together, and she still came back and did this to her when she was taken out on a stretcher in an ambulance. So that's what's driving the debate right now. And once something goes viral, and Shadasia's story has gone viral, everywhere, every media outlet, all over the world, that shit hit all 7 continents. She's international, baby. For real. She is known on an international scale because you know what? And this is the thing people are saying. She's a woman. She's a female boxer. And people are always going to be more sensitive, more accommodating, and feel a kind of way when women get hurt. And that's why for Claressa to not show much empathy, they're like, they don't see her as a female, a woman anymore. She's Clarence. That's when someone hit me up. They're like, Hood, you talking all this. You know, she ain't no normal woman. She's Clarence. That ain't Claressa. That's Clarence. That's T-Rex. That's Rissa the Goat. She's nothing feminine about her. So why you expect her to act like how most ladies would act or conduct themselves? And I'm like, you know what, man? That's how you feel, but I understand why you would say that. Now, I'm not saying I agree, but I understand. You know what I'm saying? And that's the debate, man. Shit's gone viral. It's no longer controlled by the person who is saying things. It's controlled by interpretation, and the way this is being interpreted is that Claressa is just a monster. Took it to the stupid, got drunk and took it to the stupid. A lot of emotion is involved now. People are irate, people are emotional, people are crying, and more people just don't like her. But she does it to herself. You just got to look at the audience reaction. The audience reaction isn't nothing pleasant. And that's what happened here. You got to talk about her and her reputation and how that affects her reputation. She has no brand. That's my opinion. I don't think she has a brand. And legacy-wise, does she have a legacy? Yeah, well, she does. Everyone can leave a legacy. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good legacy. What's she going to be known for? She ain't nowhere near Layla Ali. She's nowhere near Katie Taylor. She's nowhere near Amanda Serrano. She got some accomplishments, but legacy-wise, she can't touch none of them. Because it's more than just wins and titles. Claressa Shields, of course, with boxing, I have nothing to say about that anymore. But one thing is, she's outspoken. The other thing is, she doesn't think before she speaks. She's an emotional listener, an emotional speaker. She's not somebody who will take 24 hours and digest something and process it and then say, okay, this is how I want to approach things. That's not her. Something happened, she just reacts. And when you have a combination like that, it creates something powerful. And with the right person, the right circumstances, it can be good. But with a person like her, it becomes very risky. So you get more controversial moments with somebody like that. And again, the supporters, I think half of her supporters jumped ship. Because even they were like, all right, this is too much. This woman's sadistic, man. When I see them people hitting me up, I'm like, why y'all talking to me? You know what I'm saying? We want to call into your live. I'm like, anybody can. If you support Claressa, call in. The problem is most of them will call in. They cuss and act just like her. She doesn't have too many decent people who call in. That just shows you what she attracts. But I'm like, yo, call in. They want to call in and tell their story. We used to support her. We used to this, but now we don't. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. It's like I said in the video earlier. You got the Goldies putting down the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's wild. But that's where the supporters defend. Half of them jump ship. But then the critics they amplify it because there are more people criticizing her now. And it gets to her. And I'll say this. I don't like to hear nobody sounding broken because I've said this before, I can only imagine what it's like for Claressa to wake up and just have so many people bombarding her with shit. But I could never imagine what it's like for Shadasia Green to be heading to a hospital with a brain bleed, passed out, wake up a day later, and have people around her, and she wants to get on the internet, and they're like, don't do it. Don't get on social media. Because you're just coming out of being unconscious. You got bleeding on the brain, and they don't want you to see what's on the internet because you have someone like Claressa who took an opportunity to kick you while you were down. So when it comes to Claressa and people being a kind of way towards her, look, hood champion, the way I'm made up, I don't like to hear about that. But I tell you what, that shit don't compare to what Shadasia Green may have felt. But Shadasia built for it tough. She like, I signed up for this, so let me see what's going on. She know the internet's gonna internet. And that's why she there cool as a fan, because she got a great support system and she got fans who genuinely care about her. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens, man, when you're likable. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to Claressa Shields, that middle ground where like I was kind of there, like she's still a woman, she's somebody's daughter, but that middle ground has started to disappear. For me, it's gone. I'm still not gonna come out here and cuss and insult her and cuss, and call out names. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But I'll tell you, I think she's insensitive, inhumane, callous. I think she's sadistic. But I'll let everybody else call it all the other words, you know what I mean? That ain't my style. But my focus is on more about the women being positive. So when I do videos on Claressa, it don't make sense to talk about what she's accomplished no more. Her accomplishments as a fighter means nothing. She needs to start making the kind of accomplishments to show that she has some good in her. Accomplishments to show she's stepping in the right direction, away from the toxicity and the drama. Those are the things that needs to happen. Because I'll tell you this, boxing requires confidence. You gotta have it. But here's the truth. She can come out here and talk about, I'm just confident, I'm just this, and people are like, they're just fighters and they're just this. Man, get out of here with that bullshit. Confidence is judged differently depending on context. Okay? We ain't gonna come out here and make excuses. There's a difference between someone coming out here trying to promote themselves or someone out here trying to say, hey, I would have beat Shadasia, or look how I did, look at what happened with Lonnie and I. Great fighters, but hey, I'm just a cut above the rest, right? But then when you come out here and you try to dismiss someone else's skills, make fun of them losing, and totally disregard somebody's situation because you want to say horrible things about them because it makes you feel good about yourself, man. What is that? And I'm gonna tell you this right here. When a fighter is seen, like Claressa Shields, as constantly defending what she feels is her greatness, or repeatedly emphasizing, her superiority, because that's what she's always doing. She's always out here defending her greatness, and this, and I did this, and I did that, and I have this, and I have that, and this, and me, and me, and I, and me. That's her all day. And re-emphasizing, and I'm the big dog, and I'm the superior, and I'm up and down the weight divisions. When it comes to superiority, I'm the definition of superiority. Fans start to feel fatigue, exhaust. They disconnect. They don't want to hear that shit. And that's what's happening with her. Like I said, man, about half of the damn Goldies who come over here, a bunch of them hit me up, and they're like, we done. Because they're like, that was crazy. Because even they felt that, even for Claressa, like, hey, talk trash. You know what I'm saying? Somebody come at you, you go lower. Like they had no issue with that. But with Shadasia Green, even they felt Claressa should have taken a knee. I tell you that, most people should have felt that the whole world should have taken a knee for Shadasia to stop and really understand her situation before coming out here and just talking shit the way a lot of people were. And that's why there's a problem with this apology. You know what I'm saying? And again, that apology. Boxing beef to the side real quick. Prayers up for Shadasia Green. This sport ain't just for entertainment, y'all. This is our real life. We risk everything every time we step in that ring. Respect any fighter with the heart to do it. Stay strong, Green. That's what she puts out as an apology. And that's why there's an apology problem. And some people are like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. No, it's an apology problem. So these people out here, man, who aren't deep thinkers, critical thinkers, and people who really aren't qualified to speak on any of this, they should shut the fuck up. Okay? In situations like this, one thing matters more than anything, man, is how you respond after the backlash. This is why I said, yo, take 24 hours, take 48 hours. Let people be like, where is she? How come she? That's fine. Let them complain because you're not saying anything. And you figure it out. Okay, how should I approach this? What should I say? If you have to consult with somebody, keep talking about a PR team. Hey, I want to put something out there, but I kind of went and I said all this shit while I was there sipping on that goddamn Mad Dog 2020, that big bottle of wine. I was drinking that Thunderbird and shit, or that, what's that shit? I was drinking some Cisco. Look, I want to get this right. And then what you do? Put together a proper apology. And then that way when you respond after the backlash, fans can get what they're looking for. Acknowledgement, accountability, adjustment. You know what I'm saying? But if the response feels what Claressa's response was to 99.9% of us, incomplete, defensive, dismissive, and inconsistent. It can make things worse than it did make things worse. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're having a child going on a field trip and you got to pack them a lunch. And I've seen this happen. When my sons have had to go on field trips, I knew that it was coming up. A couple of days out, I'd be going out there and making sure, pick up this, pick up that. And then the night before, I'd have the bag packed about 95% complete. If I go make them sandwiches or something hot and put it in a thermos so it stays hot, they get that first thing in the morning. But everything else was done and packaged the night before. But I took a few days to make sure I had everything that they wanted and things I want to put in there to make sure when I send them out on their field trip, when they had their lunch, they opened it up, they felt love. You know what I mean? They felt love. I put a little card in there. Yo, you're my $1 billion baby. You're my little champion. You're my this and that, right? That's what I do. So when they open that, it has that impact. But I've also seen on field trips with my sons, where kids will be in the group, I'll be the chaperone of the group, and I'll see a little boy there where the parents just throw in a little pack of those little gummy bear things, fruit snacks, the little gummy fruit snacks. Throw that in there, throw a box juice, and take a slice of white bread with a glob of Nutella and just throw that shit in there and just squeeze it together and wrap it in saran wrap and throw it in the damn bag. So now we out on the field trip, time to eat. My son is there chilling like he's in a gourmet restaurant. I be giving him a fucking curry shrimp and all kind of shit. They be eating good. And he have all this snacks. I give him sandwich. I give him so much shit. I know he can't eat it all, just so he has choices. And you see that little boy there like that. And a lot of times you're not supposed to, and I'm getting off track, but I'm going to come back on, right? They're not supposed to be sharing, but my son will see that and be like, you see what that kid's eating? I'm like, yeah. I'll look. I'm like, hey, you have allergies? He's like, no. I said, all right. I said, yo, I see him kind of throw that sandwich aside. He just eats fruit snacks and drinks his juice. I know the baby's hungry. I said, hey, man, you want something out of here? I said, take what you want. And let him give him a sandwich. Why don't you bring extra? Here's a sandwich, here's this, some fruit. You know what I mean? I don't give him that curry shrimp, though, because I don't want nobody getting fucked up. Shrimp and peanuts, but the other stuff, go ahead. But that shrimp, if you don't like it, he ain't wasting my goddamn shrimp, so, good luck. But, but what I'm getting at is, you take your time, you package it up nicely, so when a person receives it, it has that impact. That apology that Claressa pushed out, it was rushed. it was the equivalent of that little boy with a slice of white bread with Nutella packed in it. I call it a shit sandwich. That's what that apology was. Now, the fact she put something out there, I don't have nothing to say about that. I just think it made things worse because it wasn't done with any love. But what we're starting to realize is when it comes to Claressa Shields and dealing with people and having that quality, I mean, hey, anyone who's like I do, I'm like I do my nieces, my nephews, and I slap in the back of the head. Anybody who'll say some shit like that on a live, it tells you all you need to know. And for those who are saying, well, why the apology fail, man? I mean, what happened here? She still apologized. All right, I'll tell you why apologies sometimes fail. Because psychology tells us when people are emotionally invested, they're not just listening to words. They're looking for the tone. They're looking for the intent. They're looking to feel some kind of change. And if those aren't clear, trust doesn't rebuild. Claressa has not rebuilt trust, and I don't think she can ever rebuild that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the fan backlash continues to grow. And in watching the group dynamics, it's becoming more and more interesting. Because what you're seeing happening right now, man, is classic group reaction pattern. That's what it is. I remember learning about that shit in all them leadership schools, and management schools. You know what I'm saying? You have a triggering moment. You have an emotional response, collective narrative, and reinforcement through social media. And once a label starts forming, even if exaggerated, it spreads quickly. And that's what's happened. And it's just an important reality, man. Fans don't always react to facts alone. They react to patterns. Look at Claressa Shields' patterns. They react to feelings, how they feel. And they look at the repeated impressions. When you just apply that shit to Claressa Shields, what do you get? You get an evolving reputation in real time. And that's why she doesn't have a good reputation when it comes to boxing fans. And that's why she has so much stress and anxiety when she comes on this internet. And we get it. She's a competitor. She's an intense competitor. We get it. For anyone out here saying that competitors, we get it, man. A lot of us, we take steps back and we look deeper at these things. You know what I'm saying? But I try to understand what does psychology say about highly competitive individuals. I've been that way at a time, very competitive. I wasn't toxic, but I was competitive. There's nothing wrong to be an elite fighter or elite performer, right? You got self-belief. You could have high defensiveness, right? Because when you're so used to performing at a certain level, and things don't go your way, you get defensive because something had to go wrong, right? And then you can be very sensitive to criticism, but you still need to be recognized. And those are some of the traits you often see in elite performers, especially fighters. Those traits can drive greatness when they're inside the ring and performing, right? But it can also create friction socially. And that is exactly what Claressa Shields has done. And when it goes too far, those traits can come across as dismissive, which is how she comes across, confrontation, which is how she comes across, overly reactive, which is how she is. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of it has to do with her just, and this is my opinion, being cruel because someone may have been cruel to her. I mean, Bobby Brown said, don't be cruel, because I would never be that cruel to you. Don't be cruel. I give you cars, diamond rings. I just about gave you everything. So why you giving us all this friction? Why you giving us all this bullshit? Confrontation, reacting. Yo, man, we know there's some pressure out there for everybody. We know a lot of people want to be dominant. They want to dominate, and their identity is tied to that. They lose their aura when they no longer have that identity, man. Sometimes they feel misunderstood. I mean, we get it. But every single day, nah, we tired. Fatigue, man. We're exhausted. But I hear people say this, and I'm going to jump off here in a second. And I tend to believe this. When they talk about Claressa's background and the trauma. We know she's had family members come out here and talk about a lot of that. I don't talk about a lot of that stuff because I don't like to think about a young child going through something beyond comprehension, right? But I'll say this. We know she comes from a difficult background, but a lot of people do. But background explains behavior. But again, a lot of people have those backgrounds, but it doesn't excuse bad behavior, poor behavior. There's no excuse for that shit. And that's why when I listen to the ladies talk, they're less willing to separate personal story and public accountability. And that tension is part of what you're seeing right now. The ladies, they're not trying to hear that shit. They're like, yo, get out of here. Take accountability. We've been through worse. Or we've been through the same. Or we haven't been through that. But still, she's at an age where she can take accountability and get help. She got the money to go buy a Corvette. She got money to go buy Louis Vuitton, Gucci. She got money to go eat a gourmet meal, a $25 hamburger with 2 slices of cheese. You take your ass and get some help and learn how to be accountable for your motherfucking actions. But moments like this, man, I tell you, it adds a lot of emotional division. And when fighters publicly clash or criticize, it doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone around them. And that's what Claressa is doing. She affects everyone. Everyone negatively. So as far as Shadasia Green, Shadasia Green, man, is going to be all right. But for Claressa, I think she need to understand greatness in boxing is not just about skill. I don't think she understands that. Because outside of the ring, she's failing. And I don't like to use the word failing. I say not performing to their potential, but she's failing. You know what it's about? Greatness? Public perception. When you think about that, there's nothing great about her. Character moments. When you think about that, there's nothing great about her. How you handle others. Like how she handles Shadasia. When you think about that, there's nothing great about her. Because fans remember how you made them feel. How she makes people feel. People out here talking about world starring her, which I pray nobody does anything to Claressa, because I ain't about that. I don't like to hear that, especially a female, man. Like, leave that woman alone. She got enough issues. She don't need nobody trying to harm her. Like, it ain't that serious, okay? But I'll say this. You even look, when you talk about how you handle others, look at her. Team got Dubois out here, who's on the MVP, and talking trash about MVP fighters. Dubois is there alongside Claressa talking shit. She there with Claressa talking shit about women on MVP. How you going to be the dynamic duo, you and Claressa Shields, Quoteman and Dubois? You got Quoteman and Dubois. And y'all out here, you, Claressa, you there creating all kind of problems for this fucking girl. But, hey, Caroline's a big woman. She's a big woman. That's why when I watch her, I'm like, nah, come on, Caroline, man. I understand you want to fight. I understand a little beef, you want to fight, AB. I get it, but come on, man. How you put yourself in this position unless you don't want to be with MVP and Jake Paul? Unless you want to go and sign to Claressa and be with her and win records and Dimitri Salita. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you don't care. Maybe to you, you think the grass is greener on the other side. It may look that way. Go on over there. You got to maintain that shit. Hope you got some Roundup. Spray and kill them weeds. But I'll just say the situation is a big situation. It's a big problem. And it's bigger than one person because there are people who are allowing Claressa to just act a fool and get away with it. That's why a lot of people now are talking about fines And what can they do about the promotional outfits who Claressa represent, holding them accountable and putting that pressure on them? They say shit rolls downhill, right? That's what I say here all the time. In the military, shit rolls downhill. If I'm getting pressure because of something my subordinates are doing, my foot's going in their ass. If someone put a foot in my ass, I'm putting my foot in your ass. And that's what they say needs to happen. No, they need to go out there, and the two promotional outfits need to feel some pressure, get some fines or something, and then they'll come and put that pressure on Claressa Shields. And that's why I say that there are expectations when it comes to modern sports. And it's really about the power of empathy and understanding the speed of public judgment, and everybody wanting to go viral. But when you go viral, people see what it is that you're putting out, and that shit can come back to haunt you. So the bottom line, depending on how moments are handled outside the ring, you're going to face criticism. But you could also be canceled. It ain't about just being dominant, historical, elite inside the ring. It's about what you do outside the ring. Legacy is built inside the ring, and you could end up, depending on how you perform, have a legacy where you're known for not being the best fighter. Or you can have a legacy known for being a great fighter. But legacy is also formed being outside the ring. And if you're somebody that doesn't have the character and you don't have those leadership qualities, your legacy outside the ring can be poor, and that will overshadow whatever you've done inside the ring, because that's what fans are going to know you for the most part, is your attitude. Legacy's built in both places. She got a lot to learn, don't she? Y'all keep cool in the breeze.